Hey guys, so I thought that the Kimmel writings were really interesting, and they gave me a lot of perspectives that I never personally really thought about. So the first question is about the four rules of manhood. There's so many ways that we see this being played out in our world, and especially in the United States and in our culture. It's something that we've become used to, and we're trying to work on breaking those stereotypes, but it's something that's still very prevalent. One thing that I noticed the most, especially because I've had to do some things at even our state capitol, how the majority of the men are the ones involved in politics, and you see them as the ones that are going to make the rules, and they're the ones in charge of fixing everything in our state, and the women are like their secretaries. And we have a very big line in the United States still of what's considered a male job and what's considered a feminine job, such as like men are seen to be more as like construction workers or something that has to do like with the handiness, and women are seen more as like hairdressers and teachers and stuff like that. I know there are getting to be more and more men in education like there used to be, but it's still primarily a female's job in this world. And I could go on and on about how like in the military there are more men in there are more police officers that are men, firemen, etc. So I think that just is where part of it is like the masculinity, and even like in politics or the higher CEO jobs, that shows by the paycheck. And another thing that I have seen is, like, if you ever watch the local news or anything like that, you often see, like, news, they have different reporters at different times of the day, and, like, news at 5, they might have 3 men there, one to do sports and, like, one to be a co-anchor and one to do the weather, and then you'll see one female to be the other co-anchor. So the majority of that are males. And one of the biggest things I've seen is sports. The most popular sports in the United States right now tend to be like basketball, baseball, football for sure, hockey, and that's because they have that aggression and they're not afraid to hate each other. And for some reason, we are drawn to that, especially when we're watching sports. And I think the only time we really want to watch female sports is when it comes to the Olympics and we watch gymnastics or something like that. But that is another thing that they give them hell rule, and men have to be sturdy and reliable through a crisis, which is why a lot of times you see like a male appointed to fix a problem in a company or the government or something like that, instead of having like a committee or a woman. There are several examples that I think in today's culture that actually break the stereotypes that we have, especially like the 4 rules of manhood. And sorry, I have my notes over here. So examples that break it are, we are now getting female football refs, which I think is incredible, especially because I love football. And we even just had our first female kicker get a scholarship to a D1 school. So while she's not playing a role in the more aggressive phase of those of the football game, she is like a part of that, and she can get tackled and stuff like that. That can happen. Another thing that's come around recently are the male rompers, and I think that's testing the nothing hints of femininity. So that when we think of rompers, we think of something that a female would wear, not a male, and so that's kind of breaking a stereotype there. Men are starting to do not only hair and makeup, but like even their own hair and makeup, which I think is really interesting, and they also tend to be really good at it, a lot better than I could even ever think about being. But they're breaking stereotypes there, and they're not afraid to show that they might have what some would consider a feminine side. We're seeing more women becoming involved in what we would consider a male job, like politics and things like that. They're breaking the stereotypes, but not because they that's not their goal. They are doing it because they want to and because they can and they have the ability to do it. And that their women now are not afraid to fight for the same privileges as their male counterparts, like the 75 cents to $1. I think like the pay gap is just blows my mind, but we're still struggling with the child care, paid parental leave, that kind of stuff. And I think, honestly, Hollywood is doing a very good job in pushing the world to break stereotypes. I don't think that it's influencing us to like hold back and not be who we are, because I think that's what a lot of Hollywood is. So I think that's kind of cool. So like you see that in your films and television, especially like when we were younger, like you started seeing commercials of mixed families. So that was pushing, like saying that mixed families were okay, and that having interracial families was not something to be ashamed of. Popular music, I don't know, sometimes things hold them back. I think sometimes rap music will put women down, and gay people and stuff like that. But overall, I think Hollywood is doing a really good job of redefining who we really should be. Thanks.